So chapter three continues, and KP for the first time brings up these two ideas, or actually just one idea, the idea of culture shock. And I don't know if you've ever heard this term before, but if you're ever going to do missions or you've ever been on a mission trip, you've experienced it and you will experience it. In fact, even if you just travel, you're going to experience it. And so we should talk it through. It will help you be more effective if you ever travel overseas. And if you ever travel overseas, you're going to start seeing some of these things you probably experienced. But culture shock and those cultural differences. So, culture shock, he mentions in chapter three, he says, while in Germany, I got my first of what would soon become an earthquake sized culture shock. See, there's that word. He saw the price of a boot and it disturbed him. And he realized that the cost of a coat and boots in Germany could have helped him to live for many months in India. So, you can't see it on this picture of these boots, but I went online to Uggs to see what winter boots cost, and they cost $255 in American money right now. Now, if you're a college graduate and you live in India, you will make $60 per month. If you live in Mozambique as a doctor, you'll make $77.50 a month. Now just pause and think about this. Those boots cost $250. In India, that's 5 months, almost 5 months of salary to pay for those boots. Your phone is years worth of money. If you've got one of these smartphones, it's most likely years worth of money in other countries. And that's like, he just realized it. So culture shock is this orientation or this like mind blown experience when you're suddenly in a different culture that's unfamiliar or that has a different set of attitudes, as it says here. But the easiest one to start off with is just the idea of an unfamiliar culture. By the way, speaking of this money thing, I remember when one of my brothers was in the Philippines for a long time, and he realized that there were guys who would work for 8 to 10 hours of a day in heavy labor, like manually cutting wood, and they would get paid $1 to $2 for the day. Or when I was there, I ended up actually getting one of my backpacks completely resewn by hand. Guy did an amazing job. Spent 2 days on it, as this tailor did, and you know how much he charged me? And he was, quote unquote, stealing from me was $1 for 2 days labor and materials. And so my brother came back and he went to the vending machine when he first came back, and all of a sudden, when he put his $2 bill, well, $2 into a vending machine to get his soda, he stopped and paused and realized that $2 soda he was buying from the vending machine was one person's 10-hour workday, and he was just throwing it around like it was no big deal. And that's culture shock with it. I give you these are kind of funny examples, but when you think of toilet, what do you think of? Now, you could just go over to your bathroom and look and see your toilet, but I think we all understand what a toilet in America looks like. So, what happens if you go to another country? What would you do if you saw these? So, in Japan, they have what are squatty potties. You know, you don't like sit down in it; you squat over it, but it kind of looks like you could put a baby in that thing. I don't even know exactly how you fit in that or you get around it. Most of Asia has these what are called, like if you go to India, squatty potties. So you just sit down, you step down right on those like two little things, and then you squat and you go to the bathroom that way. And then it's hard to see because my video is right there in the corner. But do you notice that's what they look like in Africa? But do you notice what's missing? They don't do toilet seats, because why do you need a toilet seat, right? You don't need a toilet seat. You just sit on the toilet rim. Like I remember when I was there and I sat down on one of those for the first time, I was like, ew, this is gross. In reality, you don't really need a toilet seat though. So just going overseas and seeing something like this, right? Already just going to the bathroom, you're like, what the heck? This is weird because I don't know how to squatty body this thing. And so it's things like this that add up that all of a sudden just are culture shock because you just don't know it. Like when you go to the butcher shop in other countries and they have the whole cow just hanging there, and you're like, I like steaks, and you just watch them hack it off the cow. That's gross, right? But in America, we don't see that because they do it in the back room and then bring it out of these nice little pre-packaged trays. I have a friend, his name's Len Dupree. He's a missionary in Thailand. And he took some of these pictures. He just takes pictures. He always says these are funny things, but how do you like that Rest Side Station over there, right? All the way over there. Do you notice that it's just a squatty potty on the side of the road? That's Wayside Station in other countries. I do love this one right here where it's don't feed your kids to the alligators. I feel like that's self-explanatory, but apparently in other countries you need that. Or it's hard to see on this one above me, but these people are riding a bike. They've got like 4 sacks of grain on it. It's just crazy because most people don't have enough money to buy a car in most of the world. The vast majority of the world, nobody owns a car. And so you put 4, 5, 6 people on a little bike. Most people I've ever put on a bike was, I think, 10 of us on one of those little mopeds at the same time, by the way. That was a treat. That was in the Philippines as well. But culture shock is you're going to just go to these other cultures and you're going to experience these things and be like, what the heck is this? So if you ever travel overseas or even outside the state, have you ever experienced this, right? A culture shock where you're like, what is this? Why do they do this? We even have this when you travel from state to state in the United States, where you go and you're like, why do they do this? This is weird. Why do they call them bubblers down in the South, right? That's not a bubbler, it's a water fountain. That's just culture shock on a small level, but then when you go overseas, it's on a massive level. But culture shock also comes from a different set of attitudes. These are your heart levels with it. And I want to jump, I'm going to go into explains, but I want to break this up in the video to make it easier for you to find later to review. But the idea is the cultural differences are 5 attitudes that are different that make other cultures hard to navigate as a missionary. So we'll get into those in just a second with the next video.